be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Clinically Average Podcast. As always, I'm Wolfe, and as always, this is Patrick.
This is me.
As always.
As always.
Until one time I'm going to come in with an alter ego with a different name.
Well, I mean, you did call me Patrick this time. Usually it's Rick.
Oh, well, I thought we agreed on that you're changing your name for the new podcast.
Yeah, but then you still
Used to be Ricky Patrick. All right.
Yeah, so whatever you want to call me.
All right, Patrick.
Whatever you want to call me.
Trick.
Heterosexual life partner.
I was going to start calling you Randy.
Okay.
All right, so me and Randy here with episode 10.
We are in episode 10. Wow.
Wow.
Milestone.
Double digits. This is our first. Should we celebrate?
Yes.
Cheers. Oh, shit, I spilled my water.
Way to go. You've ruined everything.
Now, great. Now my shirt's all wet for this episode. Whatever. Send it. So, this is hustle culture. And we're going to deep dive, dissect,
Dive,
duck, dodge around hustle culture and hustle bros. But before we do that, the algorithm says we got to plug our shit now.
Yeah, we should do that.
So, if you haven't already noticed, we have a blog. You can read all the blogs there. Each episode of the podcast has a correlating blog. It's same content, but different content. And I know you can read. I believe in you. So go check it out at clinicallyaveragepodcast.com. You're probably listening on Spotify because you search Clinically Average Podcast on Spotify. If you're listening on YouTube, that means you search Clinically Average there. Check out the Instagram page at clinically_average_podcast. It's like our central hub of...
Don't forget the underscores.
Yeah, that's stupid. TikTok at clinically_average and the Facebook page.
Yeah, get in there.
Clinically Average Podcast.
Get in there and harass us.
Woo! So, hustle culture.
Stay hard.
You want to make $1 million? I
I'm going to carry the boats.
want to make bank, bro.
I'm going to drive a Range Rover.
I want to get ass. Drive a Range Rover. I'm ready for this.
Don't we all?
Fucking Catalina wine mixer.
Let's do it.
For only $49.99, you can buy my masterclass, How to Be a Rich Fuckboy.
I'm interested.
Make all the money.
I mean, you have a YouTube page, so you must be doing well for yourself.
I'm doing very well for myself.
Yeah.
And you could be doing better for yourself if you quit slacking, taking days off.
Yeah, I should probably get rid of my bad kids that are just holding me back.
That's right. You don't got time for wife and kids. You only got time for money.
Time for money, the hustle, fucking working out. I haven't had a carb since 3 days ago.
And see this? I haven't had carbs since 01.
See these bad boys?
See these bad boys? That sounds toxic.
I'm going to drag my girlfriend to go watch Dane cook on pay-per-view.
Dane Cook, 20 minutes. Let's go. This all sounds...
He kind of was the hustle bro guy before hustle culture became a thing.
Okay.
Was Derek from Step Brothers.
That's a good kicking off point.
Big,
yeah, really.
Big hustle bro energy.
I'm always thinking finance bros. I'm thinking Wolf of Wall Street. I'm thinking all these influencers on Instagram. I'm thinking Gary V. I'm thinking, doesn't that Alex Hermosi guy
Yeah.
kind of do a lot of this stuff
He
now?
does some of that stuff too, yeah. I don't mind him as much. He's a more of a new wave hustle culture bro, but a little less toxic.
Okay.
But his is backed by at least some good ideas, and I think his is more... My idea is like built on passion as opposed to purely, get that money, bro, then nothing else matters.
Right.
Which the old school vibe is just like, you're not doing enough. You could be rich if you weren't a lazy piece of shit. There's nothing wrong with this economy. It's just wrong with your attitude.
Is it though? It's just the general consensus I get is it's a very toxic environment.
Well,
the hustle culture.
So like what I talk about in the blog is like, it's one of those things, a lot of things we've talked about so far in the blog, it's like stuff I think that got popular probably in the mid 2010s. Like a lot of the words we use like toxic positivity, like gaslighting, there's different terms like echo chamber, just like things that are like social media based.
Right.
Like hustle culture, I feel like probably that like 2016, 2017. I remember I was working in Pittsburgh. Like my social media was just inundated with like Gary Vee shit. And I was even back when like Rogan and them were getting big. And those are guys like have hustle culture vibes too, but it's like more like in the motivation, like working out. Like
Yeah.
that, like that's also probably the hustle culture. Like you gotta get jacked and shredded. Nothing's stopping you from having an 8-pack.
Only you are stopping
Only you are stopping you, which, promote health. But like it's all, a lot of it is wrapped in like this superficialness. And I think what it is like on its surface, I don't think it's a bad message on the surface where it's like, but it's insidious. And then we see the effects years later.
Yeah.
Because on the surface, it's just like, oh, you could be more than what you are if you just put more effort in, which in general is not a bad thing to say. I think that's inherently, that's just kind of a true statement.
Yeah. You get, in a general sense,
You get what you put in.
you get what you put in a general sense. But a lot of these guys are talking about, well, like, I think the biggest part of it is like a scam to it, right? It's, if you just do these 5 things after your 9 to 5, and you'll be a millionaire in 2 years.
Yeah. And
Shit like that.
And I definitely bought into that shit for a while. And here's the thing: it was a pretty good jumping off point back in the day because I was like, I was like kind of the opposite of where I'm at now. Like, whereas like before, I would say I probably leaned towards the more apathetic, not giving a shit side, and then I went into like manic, gotta make up for lost time. Like I'm gonna grind my ass off, hustle, hustle, hustle. And I think going too far is a problem because then you get stuck in this rat race, carrot on a stick, like we talked about last week, pursuit of happiness kind of thing. But like what I'm looking for is that Goldilocks zone where I'm not an apathetic piece of shit, but I'm also not this grind set, no days off, sleep when I'm dead kind of mindset. There's a happy medium in there somewhere where like you're doing the right things, you're making progress, and you're not completely not giving a shit about anything.
Yeah. So, like, my take on the hustle culture thing is the general message is good, but like you said, the deeper, the nuance to it starts to get insidious, right? Because it's, okay, put in more effort, work harder, you'll get better results. I get that. I'm into that. But it's like, to the extent of what some of these influencers are pushing you towards is just unrealistic, impossible.
It's set, what we talked about last week was like expectation management. And I think this is one of those things where it sets your expectations so astronomically high. And I think it's the same thing with like we talked about last week where like, okay, maybe if you get in this mindset, you will achieve more than you had prior. But it's not necessarily going to bring you, like, are you grinding just to grind? Like, say, I want a bigger bank account, so I'm going to grind super hard. But then like this, it's almost this thing where, like, sometimes you get what you ask for, and it's not what you actually were looking for. You're getting all this stuff, but it's not filling anything in here. It's just, oh, I got a bigger bank account, but I'm still unhappy. Is that a net positive? Depends on how you look at it, I guess.
So, like, settling your expectations on why you are grinding, why you are adapting this mindset is probably a big part of it too, right?
What are you grinding for? And like, is it worth grinding for? Like, is it worth it to grind and get your life savings so you can go buy a Porsche?
Probably not.
Like, probably not, because all that's doing is kind of like signaling. Like, what are you signaling? But is that doing anything other than just like a cheap dopamine hit? Like, oh, I got the car. Now everything else is going to fall into place. I think you can use it as a building block for, like, we talk about motivation. Like, yeah, it's not bad to get these build good habits, good discipline to like work towards something. But I think you have to learn that you'll do these and you might even achieve something because you've built these habits and you are grinding. But it's like the thing you're getting at the end, is that what you want? Like, are you grinding for something you're passionate about, or are you grinding for status? Are you grinding for wealth? Are you grinding for attention?
Okay, so my personal opinion on this would, if I was adopting this mindset and grinding, tirelessly for something, it would be to put myself in a better position where my, I guess, what do you say, lifestyle is more comfortable.
Yeah.
Lifestyle, way of living, just to be more comfortable, to have a bigger bank account, but not so I can go buy a Porsche or a race car, but because I would be not worried about paying my bills.
So let's couch that for a second. We'll get to that. Let's talk about a term, then we'll get to, because it'll tie back into what you just said.
Okay.
So there's a concept of two things that you measure your life by, that you assess your success in life. You have hidden metrics and measurable metrics.
Okay.
And what I say is hustle culture is the accumulation of measurable metrics. So like measurable metrics would be like wealth, assets, power, social media engagement, social status, sex, like, the attraction of the opposite sex. Those are measurable. You can see that. You can put it on a spreadsheet. There are numbers. You can quantify this. But the other metric that you use to assess your life are hidden metrics, which are basically, it's essentially your emotional state. And these are like things I say you don't really realize until either you A, had it and you lose it, or B, you've never had it and you don't get it by chasing these things, which those would be, peace of mind, happiness, genuine companionship in relationships, love. So these are things that you really can't put on a spreadsheet. These are feelings. These are things you just feel inside of you. They're hidden.
Right.
No one can look at you and tell. Well, I mean, unless you're really happy or really sad, people can read it on you. But for the most part, people aren't paying that much attention to you on that way.
I can't look at you and be like, wow, I wish I had as many love units
Well, because it's
as
wrong.
you have.
Because your assessment could be wrong. You could look at a guy in a suit driving a Porsche and think, man, that guy's got it made. But then he's going home to his house just sad because he doesn't have anyone there to love him, and he has no real friends
Just
other than people who just like do things for him because it's transactional.
Just an empty house and a bottle of scotch.
Yeah. Like this is a cautionary tale for like we've known like forever about like success does not bring happiness. It's cliche at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always used like the examples of like look at how many famous people like musicians, actors, comedians, and like just even like business people kill themselves.
Yeah.
Like, and it's always a shock to people. Like, oh my God, he had everything. Obviously, he didn't. He had measurable metrics, obviously, because we can all see all of his measurable accomplishments.
Yeah.
But it's clear you don't commit suicide unless you are lacking hidden metrics. That's what makes people kill themselves. Not like necessarily like I think most people even say about lack of money, lack of things. They kind of just persevere through it. Mm-hmm. It's the negative emotions they feel: lack of companionship, lack of friendship, lack of love, lack of just genuine happiness.
And these are things that you're not going to build and grow and maintain whenever you're 24/7 flipping things on Facebook.
Yeah,
Marketplace.
it's cool to lone wolf it for a certain period of time and go hustle lone wolf like Sigma.
No, yeah, there's certain.
There's like I think there's like a period of time where you should probably buckle down and maybe do that. But you have to get back to being a person who builds relationships and is social and has a real life.
Yeah.
Because like it's that cliche like that money just doesn't buy happiness. And we say like money can get you peace of mind. That's a big distinction I make here. I don't want to be like railing against money.
Yeah.
Yes, I know money is a big deal. Our world runs on money. We live in a capitalistic society. You
have to
need
have
money
money.
to exist. Not discounting that. But it's like literally proven at this point. There's like a Goldilocks zone to get money, and then you don't need any more of it. Like you can I think it's like a low, even in this economy, it's like under 100,000. It's
So
like for like an individual
before-
person to make like, I think before they always say it was like 70. I would probably say
before this most recent inflation boom, and we're talking 2020,
like 2020,
22,
pre-COVID.
the metric was like 85 to 88,000 a year.
Yeah,
if
it's
that's your salary, anything above that really
Is diminishing returns.
Diminishing returns. You're not seeing any more happiness.
And like hustle culture is like, no, you're going to be a fucking Fortune 500 company owner type shit.
6 figures.
Like you're going big, you're
See,
going
5.
hard. And like it's always the trap they talk about people get into when they get into that lifestyle is it's just more and more and more. Mm-hmm. You up your way of living, you up your status, and then you just keep chasing that. It becomes that mimetic desire thing we keep talking about where it's like, oh, well, Rob owns 3 companies. Well, I only own 1. I feel like I should step that up. It's like, but like, is that going to make you happier that you compete with that dude? This becomes this never-ending competition. And it's like you're losing focus on the things that you have, where it's like you keep doing that chase. I don't know where that gets you in the end.
Well, and then like what are you neglecting while you're in that chase? Again, it's like friends, family, love, actual relationships.
Yeah. And it makes it seem like you're a failure if you don't have that like ambitious desire. It's like, all right, take a nap. All your haters are out there carrying the boats while you're sleeping. They're getting all the women. They're doing all this. They're being the alphas. You can just, be happy at where you're at. It's like, statistically speaking, people who are just kind of staying where they're at and living comfortably are happier than people who are out, like alpha wolf grind setting it.
Yeah.
Like, it's all like an overcompensation.
It's the well, so that's the thing. Like, you also got to look at your baseline. If you're already making close to 6 figures a year, you have a house, you have debts paid for, your bills are taken care of, your family's taken care of. Do you need to step into that hustle mode and step into that culture and that environment and go, as compared to someone who's making $30,000 a year, especially in this economy?
Yeah, your poverty.
Yeah, you're in poverty. So assessing your baseline, your current position, yeah, maybe you do need
To get up from there.
yeah, take some time, assess your situation, adapt into that lifestyle for a minute, and, move up a little bit.
Assess whether you need to move up. You shouldn't be like at 30,000 and you're going to set your ambitious goal to go own a Fortune 500 company. It's like, let's keep those goals.
Yeah,
So let's try. I guess that's the idea.
Really?
You aim for Mars, you might land on the moon. Like, take that mentality. Like, yeah, aim high and you might get there. But once you actually get to the point where, like, oh, this is actually way better than where I was, like, stop and assess that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this actually is pretty nice where I'm at
feel it out for a
now.
minute.
Like, do I need to shoot for Mars? Maybe the moon's nice.
Like the
Like, this actually feels really nice where I'm at.
Lambo's on the moon, boys.
Yeah, I think that's But yeah, like I said, I don't know if I made the point. Like, yeah, but money does at a certain point get you peace of mind, which is a hidden metric.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of our peace of mind is skewed because of where our funds are at. So, like, yeah, if you have kids and like a family and like money's not coming in, that's going to fuck with your peace of mind and your happiness and your relationships.
Yeah.
Having a distinct lack of money, obviously, having a distinct lack of that measurable metric affects your hidden metrics. So you need to get to a point that's like I said, like a Goldilocks end that works for you and your setup and your family. But this idea of like this hustle culture is like it's never enough.
Yeah.
Once you get to that point, no, just set the next benchmark. And it's like it's not bad to try and improve, but you have to make sure it's not at the cost of your hidden metrics to move to that next level. Then
You know who had a good take on this and from a unsuspecting source? Dan Brazilian. Is it Brazilian?
Bilzerian, I think they say.
Bilzerian?
Yeah, the boat guy with
The boat guy with all the hoochies and the longhorn vapes.
yeah, he's like a gambler. Wasn't that what he was? Like a professional gambler.
Yeah, professional poker player or something.
Yeah.
I caught a snippet of an interview podcast that he was on, and he was explaining he's like the difference.
He was part of that hustle culture thing. That was kind of that same time period. Like
Like the-
2016, 17,
like the
the
inception
Gary
of it?
Vee boom.
Okay.
I remember he was big. I was working in Pittsburgh. People would always show me videos of Dan Bilzerian on his yacht with like all the naked women.
Yeah, but
Whoa, this is the life, man.
but see then like
And now he's like talking like how it's not the life.
now so like his take on it was like it's like there's no difference between your first million and the second to third and up to like the 20th or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? He was saying like when your net worth is $1 million, everything's taken care of. You don't got to worry about bills. You have a nice house. You have a couple nice cars. You're comfortable. Your needs are officially met.
Like the hedonic treadmill we said about last week. You will reach an equilibrium at some point.
Yeah.
What wasn't normal before, but then once you hit that benchmark, it becomes normalized.
Yeah. And now he's saying it's just like for him, it's like the $1 million. Like he lives a lavish lifestyle. He's very comfortable. Everything's always going to be taken care of for him now. But he's like, then I started making, my net worth went to 5 million, then to 10, then to 20, and it wasn't any different.
Mm-hmm.
He even goes on to tell a story about like, a new Ferrari came out, and I really liked it. And I was like, well, my net worth is $20 million. So he bought the Ferrari. He drove it once. It sat in his garage for about a year, and then he sold it. He's like, the Ferrari didn't bring me happiness.
The equivalent of like somebody in our demographic or our money bracket would be like, oh, I want to play that new video game. It costs $60. I'll go play it. You play it twice.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Like, but for him, that's not a big investment like it's not. It may not be the
I mean,
smartest thing, but it's not a huge
when
investment.
your net worth is $20 million.
I'm just saying, like, for him, when you're, buying a Ferrari is like to us going to buy a video game, and probably even equivalent to him. Like if you have that $20 million to go buy a Ferrari, it's like, oh, yeah, I want a new toy.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's his version of a toy, whereas our version of a toy at our age and money is like
$60 video
you're
game.
gonna buy like a $60, $70 video game.
Yeah,
Maybe.
but I mean that was his whole point. It was just like that didn't bring me any more happiness. And then like the women were already here, my bills are already paid for. Didn't matter. It didn't mean anything.
Well, doesn't he make the point? Because like all the guys like watching those videos of Dan were just like, oh look, he's on a yacht working out with a bunch of half naked women. Then he's just like, but doesn't he make the comment where he's like, yeah, it's cool having all these hot women around. Then at a certain point you realize I'm surrounded by a bunch of hot blonde women, and they talk about hot blonde women stuff. And it's not stimulating for me.
No, it's just not making a connection, not being.
But I make money by making videos of me on boats with them. But he's not getting anything. At that
What
point,
are you gonna do?
You were desensitized to having hot naked women on your boat. You're just like, yeah, whatever. There's just hot naked women here. I don't care.
I mean, I guess from my perspective, I would go on to the ironic. Oh no, poor Dan. Whatever will he do?
But it is that thing that hit on a treadmill where, like, if you think, okay, I'll be happy if hot blonde women chase me and want to be around me 24/7. But after an extended period of time of doing that and being exposed to it, it is just another day at the office.
Yeah.
Like it's not. Like, I mean, hey, not to get raunchy here, but that's like literally what happens with porno and porn stars. That is just them going to a job.
Yeah.
They are acting.
It's not passionate lovemaking with Marvin Gaye playing in the background.
These men are having sex with women and need fluffers to get them going. Because they aren't actually super that turned on. They're just checking in, and clocking out.
It's another day at the office.
It's
another
when
gig.
you get desensitized to everything if you do it too much.
Well, we were just talking about that. It was like anything eventually, your job is always going to turn into a job.
Mm-hmm.
Even something you're super ridiculously passionate about, if that's your means of income, eventually you're going to slip into that, oh, I have to do this to get my money to pay my bills, and it's eventually going to turn into a job.
Yeah, but because even anything you're passionate about, passion's a feeling. Passion comes and goes. It's not 24/7. I'm always passionate about this all day, every day, cranked to 10. Like it comes and goes. So it's like
Ready to go. Ready to
we're not all David Goggins 24/7.
David Goggins is David Goggins 24/7.
He is.
Do you think David Goggins has off days?
I don't think he does.
Do you think there's days where the boats don't get carried?
No, I think he's always carrying the boats. And like I do talk about David Goggins a bit in here. Whereas like I always think he gets a lot of flack online. Like, people are like, oh, like, he's like crazy. Like, what he does is like stupid. And it's like dangerous, and people shouldn't do what he does. And arguably, yeah, no, I don't think you need to go run a half marathon every day until your toenails melt off.
Yeah.
And then keep going because you're so hard. But his message, I always say, is like, I don't take him literally. He's an idea.
Yeah.
Take that energy he has towards running and doing insane physical extreme things, and take like an ounce of what he has for that and put that into something you are passionate about. It doesn't have to be physical, it doesn't have to be extreme, but what he does mentally, that he can like go through so many roadblocks and push himself so hard. Because I would say, I make the argument because I talk about him in this hustle culture thing, but I don't think he fits in that in the same way. Because what I think he's honestly doing all that shit for is for peace of mind. I don't think he does that for money and fame and status. I don't think he gives a flying fuck.
Can you elaborate on that?
Because he could do so much more. The dude literally is like a hermit. He barely does appearances.
Yeah.
He'd get paid so much. He could milk this a lot more. A lot of his shit online is from other people making things and reposting it.
Yeah, people at the marathon.
Like, it's not his YouTube channel. It's not his stuff. It's people like being inspired by him and making stuff based on what he does. But he actually has very limited appearances and shit he does. He's like one book, I think. And like he doesn't, he could like milk this way more than he does. I think he just does it and he's like an enigma and people are fascinated by him. But if like you read about what he went through and like his story, like traumatic childhood, all this like terrible shit happened to him. He had a huge inferiority complex and he used that to go train himself to go to the SEALs and all this kind of stuff. And he just, I think he does all this stuff literally because he's a head case and it's his form of peace of mind. I don't think he's doing it for money or any like status out of it. And that just came, I said, I think the idea of hustle culture is wrong because you're trying to manifest and create this success. I think the happiest people who become successful are people who are doing things they are passionate about. It aligns with their values and they just so happen to get famous from it.
Like the fame, like if David Goggins didn't become famous.
He would still be doing what David Goggins is doing.
He would still be doing what he's doing regardless if YouTube influencers were there
I
filming.
mean, that's how he
him or
got
not.
famous. He was just doing it.
Yeah.
And like people found about him, and he blew up. But he's not like even like turning that. He's like very like he is turning it into a career. He's making money off of it.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. He has his own merchandise and brands and shit. But he's always been like he could be doing even a lot more. You don't see him as much as other people who are out there actively trying to get in front of people.
So like the opposite of the David Goggins mindset is like, is it a Mark Wahlberg thing where it's like act and train as if your documentary crew is there?
Yeah. I think just handpick any of the crazy influencer videos online where it's just them and they try and sell you their masterclass for $49.99, and it's just some dude.
Yeah.
Like it's not that impressive or doing anything that crazy. It's just like a guy with good bone structure who probably came from money and is now using that to make a influencer account.
Yeah. Someone with a nice jawline who, oh, what do they say? This happened a lot in the crypto. Whenever crypto blew up, it was like these people will throw out and record like, I'm putting X amount of dollars in on this penny crypto. It's 10 cents right now, and watch this. And they film 40 of those. And then a month later, once they've lost $40,000, the one that did shoot up and made them $40,000,
And now they're an expert.
that's the one that they record and repost. Well, what about this one you said about? No, don't worry about that one. I was right on this one.
There's a concept they talked about. I think Andrew Huberman was talking about it, like where people do these things where they kind of retroactively tell you how to do what they did. Like he's like, he's like, watch out for that, and because like literally, once someone becomes successful and also like gets to like a point of like privilege and they've like done well, they kind of forget how they got there. They don't realize how like miraculous it is they got there. So they go back and try and give you a step by step. It's like he's literally discounting the fact that a lot of it was luck. A lot of it was just like right place, right time. And then they go back and be like, okay, well, these are the things I did. Okay, now here's the 5 steps to how to do it. He's like, no, that's bullshit.
It was like step one,
Because
have an inheritance
millions
from
of people
your
could do
parents.
exactly what they did and would not have the same outcome.
Yeah.
A lot of that shit comes down to luck.
It's like step one, have an inheritance from your parents. Step two, put money in these 20 very risky bets. Step 3, get real lucky and one of them pay off. Step 4, record it and sell it back to people online
Like,
for
be savvy enough
$49.99.
to realize you should make money off of the fact that you're making money. But like, even if you're not somebody who's going for money, and if we're not even being cynical about it, because there are those rags to riches stories.
Yeah.
But once again, a lot of that is luck because there's just as many people doing the same thing that person is doing and not having astronomical success.
There's a big point of right time, right place, and a whole lot of magic.
Yeah. So when people do those things where they do what I did, and you'll do that, it's inherently manipulative and it's inherently kind of condescending.
Play devil's advocate for a second. Do what I did, and do it how I did it. But what if their argument is this put me in the position for the luck to strike and it take off?
That's kind of what Andrew Huberman talks about. When he's like, he always says like, make sure you are. He's like, I think it's a lot of it just be able like to tell like, if someone's being authentic or not, because in a lot of the hustle culture people I don't think are the ones I like are the ones you can tell like these guys are kind of being authentic and they're telling like the whole gritty, dirty story about like where they came from. They admit there's a lot of luck.
Yeah.
And these are some people who don't usually have like a 5-step program on how to do what they're doing. They're just like, hey, here's my story. Here's how I got here. And you can get inspired by that. And like, oh, that's cool. And but like, if they're like literally just like, hey, I did all these things, nothing's stopping you from doing this. It's like,
So when these influencers come with like the Surgeon General warning, like, hey, I did A, B, and C, but then I got real fucking lucky.
like even like Huberman, he really opened up in this one podcast. It was like a fascinating story. He was talking about how he like blew up, like how I think he's like early 50s, I want to say now, and he just got famous in the last like 3 or so years. Like I would say even like last year he really blew up. But like he got on Rogan and all those kind of things. But he's like a neuroscientist. He was at Stanford. But he tells the story about how he grew up. He grew up like in a broken home. He was like a skater punk, not very well educated. Like he dropped out. I think he dropped out of high school. or he barely finished, something like that. Just didn't do well, even though he was really smart.
Yeah.
He just got in love with this girl. He like went to derailed his life, and then like she was going to college. He wasn't going to college, but he went and like stayed at her dorm and was like sleeping in his car outside of her dorm, just being a skater punk, dating some
skater punk.
And then like I picked up some odd jobs here and there. I was like working for the fire department, and then I just got really inspired to like go take that really seriously. And then I like reawakened my love of it, because he, as a young kid, he was really into learning, and then just his life kind of fell apart, like divorce, all that kind of stuff, and he just kind of quit caring about it. Then that like reignited his love of learning. So he's like, all right, I want to go to school. It was to impress his girlfriend, get her back. I think she broke up with him. And then he like went back to school, and he like I'm really into this, and like it reignited his love. And then but still like he ended up going to Stanford, and he ended up becoming a professor. But then it's like 30 years later, he becomes famous and becomes rich because of it. But he's
the rich and famous was never.
That wasn't even his intention. He's just like, I got passionate about teaching again and learning, and wanted to be a teacher, and then just that, his passion for that eventually 30 years later paid off even bigger than he's already a professor and making money, sure, but he wasn't like world famous and like people on podcasts talking about. But like, that's like a real. So he's like I'm going to tell you how to do this. Like my story is it was a nightmare. It was an absolute shit show.
But if he's saying like there is no set path to becoming rich and famous.
Yeah. And in a way, that's kind of inspiring. I think that's more inspiring than some dude with a chiseled jawline telling me how to get a Porsche.
Why do they all have chiseled jawlines?
Because they know that sells.
Motherfuckers.
They're industry plants.
I hate they're CIA plants here to get my $49.99 for their masterclass. Well, some of those masterclass literally are, hey, oh, cool, you paid the $49.99. So here's what you do: you make a masterclass and sell it for $49.99 on the internet.
Scheme.
Like, oh, you motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm. I think what I talk about, I think it was one of the dangers of hustle culture, what it creates, and I love this terminology. I definitely have suffered from it. I think, and a lot of people I talk to, I feel like are going through this. So I think that can't be a coincidence. I think it comes a lot from this sort of internet culture that's been around for like a decade now. So it's called Productivity Dysmorphia.
Oh, I love this idea.
Like when I heard this, I'm like, this is spot on, because I do this.
I love this.
I catch myself in this a lot. Let me find the actual definition of it for it here. Or do you have the definition? I think you actually quoted it. I thought I searched through my rambling.
From
Chris Williamson.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
So, Productivity Dysmorphia. Chris Williamson of the Modern Wisdom podcast defines it as the inability to see one's success or to acknowledge the volume of one's own output. It sits at the intersection of anxiety, burnout, and imposter syndrome. It is ambition's alter ego. The pursuit of productivity spurs us to do more while robbing us of enjoying any success along the way. God, I can't read out loud.
That's the you're chasing the measurable metrics, and it's at the cost of your hidden metrics. Because dude, I will have that where I tell people all the time, it's like I can't relax anymore. I struggle with relaxing. Like I said, I used to have the opposite problem where I relaxed too much.
It's very easy to relax.
Didn't give a shit. I was apathetic. And then I went hard in the other direction, and now I'm at a point, and I think a little bit of trauma happened in recent years that also kind of accentuated my mania, where I can't sit down and I always feel like I'm not good enough. But that's nothing to do with hustle culture.
You gotta love that trauma.
Like I said, I'll have this thing where even when I'm just sitting down at night, where I've always kind of had over the years like a checklist. Okay, I gotta do my things throughout the day, work towards a passion project, work towards my physical health, work towards do my job, take care of do all the stuff I gotta do. Right. And then once I do all these things, then I should be able to just sit and relax, watch a movie, play a video game, read a book for fun, not for research.
Yeah.
Like read a dumb fantasy book. But no, I turn everything into how can I make this productive? Even my relaxation time. Because it's always the feeling of I'm not doing enough. It's like in the back of my head. And it's like that's a problem that takes away from my enjoyment. I'm getting better with it. I feel like in the recent months I've kind of been settling into a more, okay, I am allowed to just sit here with my kids and watch a dumb Disney movie. Yeah. And not in the back of my head think, I could be doing something else. Like, no, I need to enjoy this moment.
Yeah, you don't have to take notes on the Disney movie.
Yeah, I don't have to do a dissertation on, why this Disney movie is weird. But I do that anyway. It's just it's that really nails it for me. that's the negative outcome that has come mainly from the whole hustle culture grind mindset thing that took over social media over the last 10 years. It's like now we have this thing where we are constantly feeling inept. Like while I'm resting, someone's out there being way more fucking successful. You shouldn't care if other people are out there being more. It's like, and I don't think it's even me comparing myself to other people. It's just like a thing I'm comparing to me.
Yeah.
Like past me. I think that's healthy. You should be better than the day you were before kind of idea. But sometimes I take it too far.
Is it, are you afraid of like, well, if I sit down and rest, I'm going to get comfortable. I'm going to
Yes.
get complacent, and I'm going to slip back into resting and relaxing.
It's that alive time versus dead time thing we started off the podcast with, where it's just like, I'm afraid of getting back into that comfort zone where I'm trapped in that comfort zone. I'm afraid of going back to the old me. Like I've never earned enough. Like I have to make up for that lost time or some shit. And it's just like, within reason, sure, it's nice to have goals and be constantly working, but like you have to take a break. Like you talked about, like burnout. That's how you create burnout, and then that just completely derails all of your shit once you're like fully burnt out.
Yeah.
And you're not putting any effort into any of that shit. You're like half-assing everything.
You can't, and then that derails you, and
Yeah.
that
And then
leads you into complacency.
not even like complacent, but then like derails you, and then you're like really kicking yourself in the ass because like you want to do it so bad, but like you're burnt out.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the motivation discipline thing. It's, what's the quote? It's better to be consistently average.
Consistently good rather than rarely great.
Yeah, occasionally great.
Yeah. And when you get in that burnout thing, that's what happens. You're not even like consistently good.
You're just shit most of the time.
You're consistently below average and occasionally good.
Yeah.
There's no room for great because now you've worn yourself down so far.
But your overall progress and success is going to be greater over time if you're just consistently.
The chart graph shouldn't
okay.
be giant rapid spikes up and down. It should be a slow,
Yeah.
steady build.
And
And it should be that way with just about everything in life, I think. You don't want the big giant spikes in happiness, and good or bad, because
Yeah.
like once again, the on a treadmill thing will regulate you anyways. But I think the progression overall is better if it's just like a slow sloping.
But that's also where people get discouraged on the situation. Like my
You have a good note on that actually, where you're talking about like how people self-sabotage.
oh boy.
You went on I went through your notes. We share a Gmail, so I got to see
Yeah.
your notes.
Well, I sent it to this Gmail to see what's going on. Oh, is it my argument on productivity dysmorphia?
Yeah.
It's just because like I will consistently catch myself finding like questioning myself and questioning my own success.
And questioning why you're doing the thing you're doing.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, I haven't seen, because I'm looking for instant gratification.
You're not getting the result you want, but you
Yeah.
think you should be getting it faster than you are.
Yeah, but in all reality, if I could take a step back and from the outside looking in, or a third party would be evaluating my situation, it's
Like,
like,
oh, this is a good setup. Just keep doing what you're doing.
no, you're doing great. Actually, you're not doing okay. You're exceeding expectations.
Yes. And like,
But
that's a
you
big
can't
thing.
see it.
Like, I'll like talk to people in the last like 6 months, like we're like, just having conversations, like saying about what I'm doing with my day. And like, I always like, it'll always get to that conversation point where like, I'll like let that outburst out, like, I have trouble relaxing.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, we'll be talking, and I'm like, what did I do all day? And they're like, oh, well, what all would you like get done? And like, they're like, holy shit, you did like 3 times as much stuff as I did today.
Yeah,
I
but
was
you
like-
still feel
I was
unfulfilled.
like, oh wow, all right, now I kind of feel like an asshole.
Well, it's like, so
I'm here bitching about like not being productive enough. And meanwhile, this person's like, yeah, I literally woke up this morning. I kind of half-assed cleaned my house, and now I've been watching Netflix all day.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fuck.
we'll see.
And I'm struggling watching Netflix for the last hour before I go to bed.
Yeah. So, and it's like the part of my argument is like, okay, looking at my recent career history, if you look at my resume right now, it's not great. the last,
I think I pointed that out to you the one day. You had like an epiphany.
yeah, like the last X amount of jobs have been, like 6 months, 7 months, because I get into that situation where it's like,
You get that overwhelming, like hopeless
yeah,
feeling.
it's like I'm doing fine in the grand scheme of things. I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. But in my head, I'm just like, well, I suck at this. This was a bad decision. I need to self-sabotage and bail out of here before
It's like a
before I get trapped in this imposter syndrome hell.
Yes, the imposter syndrome thing kicks in too, and like, but it's like that fulfilling prophecy where like, you almost make it your goal to then make it a bad situation.
Yeah.
it's like it's not a bad situation objectively, but you got like a weird feeling one day, maybe you had a bad interaction with somebody, just had a bad day.
Yeah.
Or like something else in your personal life went wrong on top of it. And then it's just like, no, this is the problem. I got to, like, you hit the catastrophe button.
Yep.
And then it's just panic.
No, I consistently do that.
Yeah. I know. I thought when we had a conversation where I kind of like, you remind me of somebody else I know who did something very similar, had a very similar pattern. And it was very similar. I feel like it's for very similar reasons. And you're just like,
no, stop, help.
I feel attacked right now, but I don't think you're wrong. we were in the kitchen. You just had like a fucking moment.
Like, no, fuck this. I'm doing bad.
I
thought
I was making like a very just like general, like, oh, he has to know.
That's
Like,
dysmorphia. You don't know.
That's why you need a third party sometimes. Because like I'm saying something to me like from the outside looking in, like, oh, this is painfully obvious.
Yeah.
And like I'm like, even when I said, I'm like, this shouldn't elicit that much of a response. He has to know. And then I say it, you're just like, holy shit, I am the problem. I'm the common denominator in all these things.
What's Taylor Swift? Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
But I was like, oh wow, good old Wolfe there. I immediately recognized that.
I'm the problem.
But that was you taking accountability immediately. Like, oh fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
You just need
I'm
one
the
trusted.
problem.
But that's what you need. Like one trusted third party who can just tell you, like, oh shit. Yeah. But the thing is, a different person might tell you, might get defensive and pissy about it.
Yeah.
I think it depends on who the third party is. Sometimes.
Sure.
Because I always say consider the source. If somebody I don't respect tells me that, it's like, well, what the fuck do you know?
Yeah, especially if HR tries to tell me that. Fuck them.
What are we on the time?
Time?
Yeah.
Time's good.
All right. We're gonna get to the next one because this might seem like it's veering off into a weird tangent, but it does connect. We're gonna do some God talk. We're gonna get religious.
From two not particularly, I'm not religious.
Well, I do make that statement in the blog. You know, that, hey, I'm agnostic. I'm not here to shit on religion or praise it.
Yeah, I went way off on defending Christianity in my notes, and I'm far from fucking Christian.
So what I posit here, also good quote to throw out here on that productivity dysmorphia thing. If you aren't happy with a cup of coffee, you won't be happy on a yacht. I love that quote.
What?
If you aren't happy with a cup of coffee, you won't be happy on a yacht.
I could be happy on a yacht. I don't like coffee.
Well, you don't like if you don't like simple things, you aren't going to like exorbitant. If you aren't happy with simple things, you aren't going to be happy with exorbitant things.
Bet.
I mean, you can try it out, but I feel like you'll be the first person I see that'd be sad on a yacht.
You give me a yacht for Christmas?
I don't have that kind of money.
Me either.
And you'd use it once, then you'd be over it. Once
self-sabotage. Yachts are dumb. I don't even like yachts.
Yeah, like it would happen real quick.
So if you're not happy with a cup of coffee, you're not going to be happy on a yacht. Mm-hmm. I challenge that.
All right, you can try it. I saw a video of the dude, before we're getting on a tangent here from the religion part. You know that video, the YouTube hit video of Charlie Bit My Finger?
Yeah.
There's a video about that. He has a yacht from that video. And if you'll go on the yacht with him, and he's just depressed. He's still tiny, too.
I want to see this.
I'm
going to find this.
I saw it on Snapchat randomly one day. They went on there. He's just like, it was so matter of fact. Like, hey, that's the Charlie Bit My Finger guy. He has a yacht, and they're on the thing. He's just kind of chilling. I think he's like playing like foosball or some shit
just
on there.
1,000 yards there.
Yeah, it was very just like, oh wow. But yeah, when you're like a little kid and you get famous and you're like getting yachts just for having a video, your parents filmed of you getting your finger bit, probably didn't mean too much. That's the epitome of being desensitized, like rich kid syndrome. That's a real thing.
It's like I was just being a kid, now I have a yacht. I don't know.
Yeah, religion. And why I think it weirdly in a way ties into the last 2 weeks conversation of like us not finding happiness in material things. So to start this, I'll do the little opening I did here. So in 1882, German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche proclaimed, or Nietzsche, I don't know how people say it. I've heard both. Proclaimed, God is dead and we killed him. This is not meant to be a rousing battle cry for atheists around the world. He believed that the scientific revolution that was happening at the time was going to continue to make the idea of God more and more unbelievable to the general populace. He also addresses that humans centered their lives around faith for thousands of years. Though people might not believe in God as much, they had to put that residual faith somewhere. He believed faith in God would be replaced by science and logic. This is neither inherently good or inherently bad. It just meant things were changing and your faith would go in different places. So, what that's getting at is there's a God-shaped hole we have where our faith would have gone, where we just put it in God.
Right.
It's in God's hands. That's like the thing people say. God will figure it out. God will sort this out. So I use the idea that we have much more existential dread. And a lot of things we're doing is to fill that. Like we are chasing success. We are chasing happiness. Like we are pursuing happiness, which is flawed, as we talked about last week. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get all these things we're looking for love. We're putting love in the wrong places. We're like putting all these things on a pedestal is an act of faith. That's what we're doing. Love is an act of faith. You can't see it. We've discussed this ad nauseum. Faith is a feeling. You can't see it. You can't quantify it. It's just a thing. You're putting faith, trust in another human being that they feel that same magical feeling back towards you. Even atheism is an act of faith. You can't prove that God is not real. You are putting faith in the idea that God is not real.
You're putting faith in the idea that he can't be proven to be real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Religious people have faith that God is real. It's just trust in a thing you can't prove. You love people. Marriage is trust in a thing you can't actually prove, even if you write it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Like atheism is a faith that you can't prove that a cosmic being doesn't exist. But what I tie this into is I think people in history didn't chase this stuff in the same way because they had faith. Pretty much most people, it was rare to be atheist prior to like the 1900s. Like that wasn't as common.
Yeah, everyone was
like, and especially for the 1800s. The further you go back, the more unanimous people were just fucking religious in some way.
Outside of Christianity, there's other
not just Christianity.
Other cultures prayed to other gods.
Yeah, it's a huge
same
part.
way.
And like humans, when you do things for thousands of years, it's kind of in our blood. It's in our DNA. Mm-hmm. So like just because we are less religious now overall as we were back then, uncommon. Like even people who are religious, I think, aren't as religious as people were in previous generations.
Yeah.
I think I think the average Christian probably has way more senses of doubt in their faith than they did 200 years ago.
Sure.
Because there's more information, more stuff out there that could skew you, lead you astray.
Yeah.
Whereas back then, it's just like, oh, I'm having a bad day. God will figure it out. So then you don't have to like overcompensate to try and like fill that void and make yourself, because like, it's a bad day, but God has his plans.
Even like the most evangelical Christians today are probably on the lower end of the spectrum 200 years ago.
Yeah. They'd be a bad Christian 200 years ago.
Damn.
Like, is any of that making sense, or am I just talking like woo-woo nonsense?
No, because like that is a significant part of human history, right? So like we've evolved, and that's been in our culture and our society. So that's going to have an impact on you. So like societal evolution and cultural evolution, still going to have that effect on you, even up till today. So
it's like a biological imperative.
Yeah. So if we're able to fill that hole with God saying like, oh, God will figure it out. God is testing me, blah, 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 whatever you want to do. But now if you don't believe in God, now that void still needs to be filled. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to put it in? Like your example is the atheists are going to put that faith into not believing, or someone, and where it gets into the hustle culture is now people are going to put that faith
in money,
in materialistic, in consumerism, capitalism, and all these ideas. Like, oh, I'm going to put my faith in hustling to get this Porsche or hustling to get my yacht.
Yeah. Well, the idea is like, it's almost like back then you live a mundane life. Like, you eat shit and then you die, but then you get rewarded with eternal bliss.
Right.
The common feeling now is like, even if you're like semi-religious, like, that's a bet. That's a bet to assume that I'm going to live the next 70 to 100 years. And I'm going to live a super boring, non-exciting life.
That's going to be
awesome. That I go to heaven. So it's like, I got to live. So the idea is like, almost like heaven is now. Live it up, because there might be nothing after. So you're going to waste 70 years doing nothing.
And then have nothing?
So that's the kind of the best.
You're going to do nothing and have nothing?
How does that not create some form of existentialism? Like, it's like, so then if like, you're like, and that's why I think the older you get, like, oh man, I haven't done anything, you start getting those regrets, because like, fuck, this might be the there might not be anything.
Yeah. And
And
if
I
there
did- I
isn't
did nothing.
anything, I didn't do anything. I didn't live.
So then you put your faith in,
my
it's like, oh, I
life.
got to really live it up. But then it's like, if you're doing that at the expense, though, of still living in the, and enjoying the simple things, enjoying life as it is, like you're kind of in a weird limbo where it's like, is that the one you want? Where like now you're living for this, like you're worshiping materialism.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you're not actually enjoying life because you're not actually happy. You're just grinding. You grind and then you die. But you had a whole lot of nice stuff for you to die. You're like a pharaoh getting buried with all this stuff.
I want to be buried in my Porsche that I hustled for.
Yeah.
Well, like the big idea, like the idea here is that it's okay to hustle for things. It's okay to buckle down, grind it out, and get yourself into a better situation.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're only if you're just addicted to that lifestyle, like the cliche of like stop and smell the roses, like you have to enjoy the process. You have to enjoy the time that you're spending on this.
You
need
enjoy
to-
the pursuit, not the
Yeah.
destination. And that's one of the things people talk about. Like, people like, it's not to condemn like goal setting or like trying to be better than you were before. That's not the problem.
That's great. That's
like,
fine.
Like we
love that.
are as like humans, like we are built that way to like crave more.
Yeah.
Like it's just like you have to be a little bit self-aware to check. Like, okay, step out. This is good. Right? This is bad. Objectively bad. Like, oh, this is actually a good situation. It could be better, but this isn't bad. And like take into account for that. Like I don't need to be like this is a good situation. Me and my wife we make like 6 figures. We have our kids. Everything's going well. Why would you be fantasizing about, becoming the CEO of a giant company? It's like, is that necessary? Is that really the life is that going to like, that just tells me maybe you're not happy in the life you have.
I mean,
And that's a whole different can of worms to get into at this point.
I mean, you see it all the time. Like sometimes you're like real good at throwing footballs around, and then you get so addicted to it, just like breaking down to hustle it in, that your supermodel wife divorces you,
Yeah.
and then you just got to be hot and awesome down in Tampa Bay and win
Which
Super
I think
Bowls.
Tom Brady's doing fine.
Fuck yeah, he is.
I'm sure he's doing fine.
I love him.
But to stay on that topic there's a good quote from Mark Manson about this from his Everything is Fucked, a book about hope, which
The blue one.
highly recommend that, yeah. Where he talks about the concept of God value. So he says, whatever you make your God value, you will always be willing to, at some point, bargain away humanity in order to get closer to it. Worshipping some supernatural God or some abstract principle, some bottomless desire, when pursued long enough, will always result in giving up your own humanity or the humanity of others in order to achieve the aims of that worship. And what was supposed to save you from suffering then plunges you back into suffering. The cycle of hope destruction begins anew. I think the line there I really focus on that I think goes to the hustle culture is what was supposed to save you from suffering then plunges you back into suffering. That's that idea of you've grinded, you got your mansion, you got all your shit. And that Shorzy quote, it's not success if you have no one to share it with.
Yeah. It's just like sit on top of my throne of lies.
Because then you're mixing the hidden metrics aren't there with you. Like, cool, you got the status, you got the power, you got the wealth. You don't have the love of a woman or the love of your children. You don't have real friends. You have people who are like yes men.
You can cry in a Honda. You can also cry in a Ferrari.
You have all your fake comments and like bots in your comment section on your influencer page telling you how hot you are.
Fucking hate influencers. Damn.
But yeah, I go into like the idea like with like ancient people, like using religion as like comfort. Well, they call it like opium for the people. That's what they always call
Religion.
that. Yeah. Is it just keeps people docile. Like they're living objectively shit lives.
But it's all going to be okay because I'm going to be rewarded after this time span.
Which is a way just to make people work harder, be more productive for the king, who is also involved with the church.
So if I buckle down and grind, I'll get my Porsche.
It's the ultimate grift. Religion.
Oh,
Oh, I said I wasn't going to.
Oh, no.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. Like I said, I used the idea like back then. So like these people were out tilling the fields, just fucking all day, every day.
Dying at 30.
Dying at 30 of old age. It's like, but they're doing it without SSRIs. They're not worried. They're just sitting around. They're not having an existential crisis about it. It's like, yeah, they have this Protestant work ethic. It's just like, hey, I'm going to just go out there, till the fields because God wants me to, and then I'm going to go join God in his flock. And they're cool about it. The worst thing that's going to happen is they're not going to be crying about it or think, oh my God, this is so terrible. No, this is what I'm doing.
No, it's
Worst that
fine.
happens is that there's a few death by wolves, maybe a few beheadings when people think you're a witch. That's it.
Hey,
So it's like
It is what it
less
is.
death by suicide, more death by wolves. Whereas in the modern era, way less death by wolves, a lot more death by suicide. I'm not using this as an argument to say we need more religion.
we need
I'm
more
just
wolves.
saying, no. No.
We could reintroduce wolves into modern society.
No. I've heard people use this fucking argument, and you know who uses it? The fucking like Alpha Chad, fucking hustle bro guys. Like, yeah, that would toughen us up again. Weak men.
You want to make $1 million? Fight wolves.
Yeah. No, don't bring
I
wolves back.
think David Goggins is out here. He's carrying the boats to get across the river to fight the wolves.
I mean, I'm saying it right here. If David Goggins pulled up to me in his chariot and told me to stay hard, we're going to fight the invading wolves from the north.
Stay hard.
I'm hopping in the chariot with him. I'm going to ride bitch, and we're going to go fight some fucking wolves.
I'd follow that man into the wolf's den.
Like, yeah, I can sit here and make fun of David Goggins, but if he pulled up right now, knocked on the window, and he's like, yo, motherfucker, stay hard. We're going to fight some wolves. Like, fuck, all right, man, podcast over.
I'm done. I'm hard.
I'm hard as
I'm
fuck.
hard. I'm hard. It's fucking hard right
I
now.
am bricked up. I'm going with
I'd
David
do
Goggins.
anything he tells me. He's dangerous.
Yeah.
He convinced me to do some awful shit.
Yeah, like I like to think I, have autonomy and I do what I want.
Not when David
but not
Goggins
when
is
David
around.
Goggins is involved.
God, no.
He's probably one of the few people. Like if he came in here, it's like, okay, you could peer pressure me into doing the stupidest shit possible. Not like sexual,
Fighting wolves, though?
but like fighting wolves, which is like a death
Well, that
sentence.
just brings a whole new meaning to staying hard.
Yeah, like death sentence. Statistically likely, I will die. But if David Goggins is here, I'm going. He'll make me
protect you.
believe that I could. Like, I don't think even David Goggins can kill a wolf. He might get one.
Quit being a bitch. Come
Like,
on.
quit being a bitch and come on. I'm like, all right.
We got to kill this pack of wolves. We got to hike up the mountain with their pelts.
We're gonna carry a whole dead timber wolf. He's just gonna do like a jujitsu roll and
We're
pick
gonna
up on
kill
his
the
shoulders.
wolves.
Fireman carry it.
We're going to murder this pack of wolves and we're going to put them in a boat and we're going to carry the boat up the hill.
We're gonna
to
skin it.
Start a marathon.
We're gonna clothe an entire indigenous tribe. And we're gonna feed them with it. We're gonna eat it raw. We're gonna eat its heart.
We got to get this done by 8 because we got a 5K to do.
I gotta go put out a fire. It's a wildfire spreading out in California tomorrow. I'm gonna run there. You gotta run to the fire. Join the emergency cleanup crew.
Why is he so awesome? Why is he an actual superhero?
He is like a fucking superhero. He didn't choose it though.
What the fuck is his problem?
He's just
That dude's mentally ill.
oh, he is.
But goddamn, do I respect
I
it.
respect David Goggins.
Fuck.
This is not meant to hate on David
I
Goggins.
want to fill my
love David.
God-shaped hole with David Goggins.
Like, I worship him.
If there is a God, it's David Goggins.
Like if I had to pick any of these influencer characters online, I would probably worship him and like making like a deity out of David Goggins.
Is he even like hustle culture?
Well, no, as I said, I think he gets used by hustle. So like if you like get on any kind of like hustle culture, like go down that TikTok rabbit hole or get on those reels,
Yeah.
like it's like the super cheesy, like toxic bro stuff. They'll
Yeah.
use his clips constantly.
But he ain't about that life.
But I don't think he's about that life. He's just doing his thing. He's like a wandering like deity, and you just get a video of him, and then people use that like they did with Jesus. They use his teachings to use it for their own gain. People now are taking Goggins' things and using it for putting their own twist on it.
I want a pack of 12 people to follow David Goggins around and tell his stories.
I mean, they're out there, man. You can go. There's plenty of stuff on David Goggins. He has a book and everything. He's done
But we
long form podcasts where he talks about it.
We should put it in one book, the new Bible, Bible 2.0.
What if like right now, like the Chinese hit us with the EMP blast, and like things are done, but I have a copy of David Goggins' book, and when we start like breaking off into societies like Fallout,
What's his book? You Can't Kill Me? You Can't
I
Hurt
forget
Me?
what it's called actually.
Can't
I don't
Hurt Me?
actually have it,
I don't have
but I
it.
should order it now just so in case this happens.
We burn all the other books except You Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah, we just get a whole stockpile of David Goggins' books,
I like this.
and we start a culture based on him, and then he's going to survive. Obviously, he's going to survive.
Obviously.
And he'll be running from encampment to encampment offering help. And then people are like, oh, there he is. He's our Messiah.
And then he's going to get a following, and then we're going to run to China
Yeah. No. We're gonna build boats that we will then carry to the water and launch, and then when we land,
We're gonna build them.
we will carry those boats up with us.
We're gonna build them in the Midwest
Uh-huh.
out of corn husk,
Yeah.
and we're gonna carry them to the coast,
Yeah.
West Coast. It'll be quicker. No, David Goggins wouldn't take.
No, we're
the
gonna go to the
short route.
Atlantic, and we're gonna go over Europe. We're gonna go through Europe like the Mongolians, and we're gonna get
Goddamn
bigger. We're gonna
Crusades.
get bigger
David
as
Goggins
we go.
Crusades.
And we're gonna be following behind David Goggins, a whole
Holy
army
shit.
of.
Could you imagine David Goggins, 10,000 people behind him in toe shoes,
Yeah.
no shirts?
They'd be worn off by then because our feet, the soles of our feet, would be so. All of our toenails would be gone.
the
They'd be
soles.
liquefied. We would just have like, fucking. Our feet would literally be
Calluses.
like just calloused to the point where like we walked through molten lava, and now we just have like these big bubbly blistered feet that are just hardened, like blobs, hardened blobs.
Stay hard.
We will have hooves basically. We're like an army of fucking David Goggins centaur.
This is getting way out.
We're gonna turn into horse
This is
people.
getting way out of hand.
I don't care.
This is getting I don't want to be a David Goggins horseman.
All right, man, you can just stay here and fucking bumfuck Katanning and Fallout Land. I'm sure you'll last forever. I'm gonna go bet my money on the new Messiah because he's gonna survive. Man.
I tell you, short as shit. I'm going to AI generate David Goggins centaur horseman as soon as we're done recording this fucking episode. I'm sure as shit.
What a good way to end it, though.
Yeah. David Goggins horseman.
I don't know if we can top that.
Oh. Any closing remarks?
I really don't know if anything I can say to top that other than just like, hey, fucking
Burnout is real.
burnout's real. Check your productivity dysmorphia. You don't have to compare yourself to every other person around you. What matters is if you're happy and if you're doing things you love. And above all else, fucking stay hard. Let's go. Woo!
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before I knew. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Signed up for the hall of shame. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I like to be way more patient. Stay up, I feel so outdated. How can we look the other way? Sun is out, but the sky is gray. What would happen if I took a chance? It's always hard at first glance. I don't wanna, but I know I gotta do it. The truth is hard to swallow. I think I'll chew it. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I wish I knew